say the words and we'll beat the birds down to Acapulco Bay. It is perfect for a flying honeymoon. They say, come fly with me, let's fly away. Once I get you up there, where the air is rarefied, we'll just glide, starry-eyed. Once I get you up there, I'll be holding you so very near. You might even hear a whole gang of cheers just because we're together. Weather-wise, it's such a cuckoo day. You just say those words and we'll take our birds down to Acapulco Bay. It's so perfect for a flying honeymoon. Oh, babe, come fly with me. Let's fly, let's fly. Pack up, let's fly away. Pack a small bag.
Smile, though your heart is aching. Smile, even though it's breaking. When there are clouds in the sky, you'll get by if you smile. Through your fear and sorrow, smile, and maybe tomorrow you'll see the sun come shining through for you. Light up your face with gladness, hide every trace of sadness. Although a tear may be ever so near, that's the time you must keep on trying. Smile, what's the use of crying? You find that life is still worthwhile if you just smile. Though your heart is aching, smile even though it's breaking. When there are clouds in the sky, you'll get by if you smile. Through your fear and sorrow, smile, and maybe tomorrow you'll see the sun come.
Looks like I'm going to
Welcome, everyone. My name's Dave Carson of Carson Funeral Home. Thank you for coming and sharing this incredibly special and important time with the entire family and obviously a wide-ranging group of friends. Unfortunately, it's a different type of circumstance that we're gathering today, so just a reminder to try your best to abide by the health restrictions that are in place. In a moment, Stephanie will come in and start the service, and at the end of the service, we'll be making our way to the cemetery. Cemetery restrictions have us to 25 at the graveside. So we're just, if you wish to come to the cemetery, you can stay in your vehicle. After the graveside service is over, if you wish to proceed to place a flower onto the grave once the family's moved off, you're welcome to do so. Okay, so you are welcome to come. but you're not welcome to gather at the cemetery more than the 25. Okay? Please sit back, and I'll invite Stephanie in to start the service. Thank you very much.
This right time of day. Oh, I love being with you and watching my life at play.
Well, good morning, everyone. For those of you that I haven't had the pleasure of meeting yet, which is most of you, my name is Stephanie Worthington, and my role with you today is that of a celebrant, as over many years as a funeral director and actually the cemetery manager. I've also been blessed with an opportunity of officiating services when there is a need and an invitation. So I'd like to take a moment and begin by thanking Angela for a very warm invitation to be here with all of you as we celebrate Wendy's life today. I begin by welcoming all of you here today in the spirit of love, which surrounds us and upholds us in a very special way this day. For through the Spirit, we believe that life is always stronger than death, that love is the strongest emotion that we should feel, and that a special light will shine both with us and for us in the difficult times. And so with the hope and confidence that death truly does not have the final say, we have, of course, gathered to mourn your loss, but even more importantly, to celebrate the life of Wendy Elliot. Our service is a time for you to say your personal goodbyes to Wendy and to continue to deal with the reality of her having passed away. It is a time to remember and celebrate all of those great things that were shared through Wendy's life, to say thank you for those ways that her life touched all of you in a positive way. It is also a time to commend Wendy's spirit into a very strong and loving care and to provide support to one another through our presence. We know that it is certainly never easy, nor is it desirable to be in the presence of death or to experience firsthand the feelings of shock at the passing of someone that you loved, someone that you cared so deeply for. There are feelings of loss that Wendy will no longer physically be a part of your everyday lives, yet there are also feelings of peace, knowing that beyond all of the sufferings and the joys of this life, that our spirits last forever. They are eternal. So we must also acknowledge all the profound feelings of thanks for all of those wonderful memories that you have of Wendy. Therefore, four things stand side by side today as we remember her and as we celebrate her. There is grief and celebration alongside sorrow and thanksgiving. We feel these emotions as individuals because each of you has your own unique experiences and the personal memories of the special times that you spent together. But we've also gathered today as a family, as a community, a group of people that is united by your common love and respect for Wendy and by her love, friendship, and admiration that she shared for each and every one of you. So you're certainly not alone here today. You journey together by a very strong and an unending love and by that spirit of love that is always with us. I believe that we and Wendy are always in the presence of a very loving spirit. In whatever way we choose to name this spirit or connect to it, which is something very unique now more than ever. For many people, it is God. For some, it is a spirit. For some, it is as simple as an energy. Regardless, it longs for us to know this life and this love in all of its richness. It is saddened and weeps for us at difficult times such as this. It loves and welcomes all, no matter who or what. It is there to empower us and to strengthen us, to challenge us and comfort us, to offer us healing, and to teach us how to celebrate the true gift of life with us. And so, aware of a power beyond ourselves that is always at our side, let us join together in prayer. Heavenly Father, you have shared with us the life of Wendy Elliot. We give you thanks for her life, for the goodness in her that will continue to live and grow in others, and for her life that in your love will never end. As we offer Wendy back into your presence, we pray for comfort in times of loneliness, for forgiveness where it may be needed, and the courage to face the future with open arms. Draw those of us who remain in this life closer to one another, and help us to be there to support each other as we realize our loss today and in the days and years to come. Make us always faithful and swift to serve others, and help us to feel the peace and the joy that is available to us all beyond all the circumstances of this life. Amen. I unfortunately never had the chance to meet Wendy or have the pleasure of getting to know her in her time here, but we are very blessed today to have some very special people who will be sharing their words with us. So to begin, I would like to invite and welcome Bob Bird, Wendy's loving partner.
Thank you all for being here. I'm just going to unclip my ad libs. And first of all, I'd be remiss if I didn't thank everyone for the amazing support that they've given me over the last several days. Phone calls, emails, and I'm here to tell you that I have enough food that if you want to do some shopping, come on over. We can fix you up with just about everything. But most of all, I want to thank my family. My daughter, Karen, oh, there you are. And my sons, Jeff and Robert, and Angela, Wendy's daughter, and her husband, John, that fortunately lived down the street from me. So that's real handy. You know, it's amazing what they can do now. I guess it was a long time since I've been to a funeral, but if you look over here on the left, there's a camera. And this service is now being streamed around the world. So it's too bad you can't wave, but it's right there. And so seeing I have this opportunity, I can't pass it up. So, they told me I can take my mask off because I'm far away from you. Oh, let there be air. Okay, so hang on, don't go away. Okay, so I wanted, because we're being literally seen around the world here, I wanted to take just a minute, if I could, to say hi to our friends. And the first one is out in PEI, Diane, her cousin, who she loves dearly, Cheryl in England, Graciano and Lena in Italy, Katinka in Holland. And I'd be remiss if I didn't thank Roger and Robin in New Zealand, who we spend a lot of time with. And I got to thank them, thank you out there, for looking after me when I had my big accident out there. They kind of helped bring me back to the wonderful person that I am today. And folks, I have to mention my brother-in-law, Alan, in Australia, whose wife, my sister-in-law, Joan, after a brief illness, passed away the same day as Wendy. So just to you, Alan, brother, my heart is with you. On the day Wendy died, I sat down and I drafted a notice because I said, I got to tell my friends and tell our friends. And so I sat down and I typed out something to send out. And Karen came down and sat beside me at the table. And I was just about to send it out. So I put everything in BCC and I started to click. And by the time I got finished, I turned to Karen and I said, holy smoke, that's a lot of clicks. So let's count those. And I sent out that morning 123 emails. Amazing. Anyway, in the letter, I said that Wendy was, among other things, feisty, caring, and loving. Feisty, you all have memories, your own memories of that. I don't want to go into detail there. But along with, can I just take 2 seconds to have a sip? Because you get dry doing this. It's not. Thank you for your patience. That's good. Okay, so, you know, when I think of Wendy and feisty, I also think of determination. I would say, this is what I'd say to her. Wendy, you can't do that. And Wendy, her standard answer is, watch me. She was defiant to the end. This, I think this is important. A lot of people may not know this about speaking of feisty and determination. When her two grandchildren, Corey and Kyle, were just 5 and 3, due to circumstances, there was a fight for custody of the children. It was a big fight. It was a fight between the Children's Aid Society, the Catholic Children's Aid Society, and the Native band. Their mother was Native. And all three came to court with high-priced lawyers. Wendy told me there is no way on earth that they're going to take my grandchildren away from me, because she felt if any one of those agencies took them, there's a chance she may never see them again. So Wendy made the 4th person in that to fight for custody. And for 2.5 weeks, she's had no money to hire a lawyer, but she said, Bob, all I can do is dress real nice, look sharp, business type, and go in there and fight like hell. And she did. And each lawyer got up and said why their agency should have the kids, and then Wendy would go up on stand. And they would cross-examine her. And at the end, when they're waiting for a decision, she said, only one lawyer out of those 3, only one made me cry. And she said, after the session, he came back and he hugged me. He said, I didn't really mean to let you cry. It's just, I had to say what I had to say. And, the judge said, Wendy gets the kids. And, it was great. We raised 2 kids. Wendy had 2 boys and a girl, and we both from previous marriages had 2 boys and a girl. So we figured we can do it again. And I'm here to tell you that the only thing, when I look back on bringing up the grandchildren, the only thing I can think of is I turned away and say, what's with this? I'm 65 years old and I got to get a babysitter. Work with me here. There's something out of whack. That's not right. Then in that letter, I mentioned caring. When I think of how much Wendy cared, I think of her grandchildren, who she really cared about. And Wendy cared so much for other people. If somebody she barely knew passed away, she would make a donation to the Soldiers Memorial Hospital in their name. There is absolutely nothing that Wendy would do for you. Her love knew no bounds. Wendy truly loved our friends. All our neighbors were special to her. Barb and John, a couple lived down the street from us. And believe it or not, I've known Barb since we were 15 years old. How she wound up on my street, I don't know. But anyway, Barb and Wendy would often get together with a bottle of wine and solve the world's problems. Whatever was going on, she wanted to be a part of. Wendy and I were so lucky to have friends that live close by. And I'm going to mention their names, and it's for a reason. Keith and Joan, Doug and Karen, Claude and Mona, Bob and Donna, Pete, Marion, Mac and Vern, and Paul and Sheila. And the reason I mention those is that all of those people are close by, but I've known them all for almost 50 years. Talking about her love for people, she hosted with myself, talking about loving people, the CBC annual picnic and barbecue, the annual Probus annual picnic, the Aurelia Power and Sales Squadron barbecue, and the Century 21 annual barbecue, which we had every year. And along with that, we hosted 6 weddings at our home. And the first one was Allison and Dawn. her sister-in-law. And you could catch Wendy every Friday night holding court in the Tiki Bar at Marina Del Bob. I have to give her full marks while she patiently, oh, God bless her, she patiently sat through my stories that she'd probably heard 50 times. And there's only a few times she broke and said, not again, not again. Everyone loved her, and I know everybody, the Tiki Bar goers, are going to miss her. Wendy had a, oh, I got to tell you this. Sorry, got to tell you this. Wendy had a special love for our Italians next door. Neighbors now for almost 30 years. The fact, that was Egidio and Pepe, and Pepe has since passed, but Egidio's been right there with us all the time for almost 30 years. And I got to tell you that the fact that Egidio has at any given time never less than 1,300 bottles of wine in his wine cellar has no bearing on her love for Egidio. Just to make that clear. And I got it, I'm sorry, I won't take too much. I got to digress. A few days ago, the family went over to have a drink at Egidio's to toast Wendy. And we were sitting around and we were talking and how long it had been and everything. And I said, I got to tell you a little story. I said, when we first moved in, we knew that the next door neighbors were Italian, but that's all we knew. And one day, Wendy's out on the front lawn. We're both out just kind of walking, saying, wow, I can't believe we're here. And Wendy looks through the bushes at Egidio's place, and in the garage, she sees a great big black Cadillac. And the license plate read Nostro. And I said, oh my God, we got to be really good. We got to be really good. I don't want to I'm a lover, not a fighter. And so was she. So anyway, when I told that story, there was a big smile that came over Egidio. And he got up from the table quietly and disappeared and came back. And he handed us, the little silver things that you can buy, the decorations that go around the license plates. And he said, this was on the license plate. And I'm going to read you what it said, because I always sometimes have a saying. On the top, it said, you touching my car? And on the bottom, it said, I break your face. And I said, thank heavens she didn't see that, or she'd make us move. Anyway, Wendy was so loving to me. A glass of wine, soft light, and many kisses in front of a roaring fire. Our Valentine's Day were always wonderfully, there was always, for me, a wonderful romantic card. I always used to say to her, every day is Valentine's Day. But anyway, this past February, she outdid herself. Romance was there. And I brought the card in, and I have to read it to you, and this is what it looked like. And it says, we can still do it all night long. And I got excited. And I opened the card, and there's a picture of a couple in front of a big screen TV. And she's saying to him, just one more episode. Just one more. That's all. And that was Wendy. I'd say, I want to go to bed. No, one more episode. I had to tell you that. We traveled together all over Canada, the United States, and ski trips all over Europe. And she's precious. I talked her into skiing. She was 57. And I think it was a big pretend, because when we'd ski, there'd be primal screaming from her coming down the hill. And then when she stopped, I said, isn't this fantastic? And she'd hold her hands up to the sky and she'd say, where's the beach? Where's the beach? Oh, sweetie, I didn't mean to you just told me you liked it. Anyway, Wendy was my first mate aboard Slightly Drastic. She named the boat, and there's a story there, and I'll tell at the celebration of life. And also there's a few other stories that are not appropriate, but after sleeping on them, I said, I can't say that. So I took them out. But anyway, we boated with many of our friends, but for several years, we took our boat trips with Bob and Pam. For years, aboard their boat time too. And Wendy and Pam were like sisters. And Pam, you probably know, I don't have to tell you that she really loved you. And anyway, I think probably the most amazing trip over the years that we took was we took our little 24-foot boats, and I say little because we took them all the way to New York City. An amazing, amazing trip with many memories, including Wendy riding a horse on the bucking bronco in a bar. That was so scary, so scary. And one more thing I want to mention, and that is between being with Bob and Pam on our boats and being with Paul on our ski trips, last night I sat up till midnight calculating, and I've got it down, guys. Over those years, I have made single-handedly 893 Caesars. Oh, Wendy, sometimes you are wild and crazy, but I loved every moment of being at your side. We were joined at the hip, the good times and the bad. I will treasure every single moment we had together. I love you, sweetheart.
Thank you, Bob. That was fantastic. Thank you. And now I'd like to invite John, Wendy's son-in-law, to come forward.
Thank you, everybody, for coming to the celebration of Wendy Elliot. I truly can't believe I'm standing here before all of you. I had a brief conversation with my emotions before I came up here and got promised they would try to remain at bay. I've known Wendy for the better part of my 40 years. She had a profound effect on me back when I was a 15-year-old boy, and an equal effect on me in the years that followed. I first met Wendy when I walked into her restaurant she owned back in 1980-81, looking for a job as a dishwasher. I thought as a young man she was a very beautiful woman with an infectious smile, someone who is a good listener, a tough, no-nonsense, strong-willed lady. As the years passed, those attributes became crystal clear. She gave me the job, and soon after I met her daughter, Angela, who also worked at the restaurant, ironing tablecloths, grating bricks of cheese for tacos and burritos, and waitress, to which she wasn't very fond of. We eventually began dating each other. Over the next few years, Wendy and I developed a very strong bond. Wendy would often invite me over to her house to go swimming or to just stay the night, probably to make certain I was on time to vacuum the restaurant and get the kitchen ready for opening. She would often joke with me saying I had better take care of her daughter because in the years to come, it was my responsibility to make sure I delivered her with Meals on Wheels. That joke held up for years until one day I was actually in the kitchen cooking a Christmas or Thanksgiving dinner for her and Bob and their entire family. It's very sad to think I will never hear the resounding word, Jonathan, or I don't give a rat's ass. There are so many memories, jokes, hugs, and celebrations I had the honor of being a part of with Wendy. One memory in particular was when I came to Aurelia to reconnect with Wendy and Angela back in the fall of 2011. After a nice conversation, I got invited to go with Angela on what Bob had called a 3-hour tour on their boat. Everybody here knows all too well what that 3-hour tour is all about. Even spending time over at Big Chief Island, or P-Bay as she referred to it. I could go on and on, but I must say the best gift that Wendy ever gave me was her permission to marry her daughter. Wendy's life will live through her daughter and all those who loved her. I like to say that we are not only friends, we're family. And that's how Wendy always viewed it. She always said, I want a big party when it's time. The entire family will make her wish come true, hopefully this summer. I like to end with a poem, if I may. It's simply called The Chain. We knew little that morning that God was going to call your name. In life, we loved you dearly. In death, we do the same. It broke our hearts to lose you. You did not go alone. For part of us went with you the day God called you home. You left us peaceful memories. Your love is still our guide. And though we cannot see you, you are always at our side. Our family chain is broken, and nothing seems the same. But as God calls us one by one, this chain will link again. I love you, Mom.
Can you grab me some Kleenex? There's no Kleenex. Thank you.
Thank you, John. And now Karen, Bob's daughter, will share with us.
Wow, that's really hard to follow. Just pull myself together here. I'm a little blind. Okay, that's much better. Okay. So for those of you who do not know me, my name is Karen, and I am Bob's daughter, and I am speaking on behalf of myself, my brothers, Jeff and Rob, and our families. Dad has received so many wonderful emails from all his friends. In fact, we literally cannot pull him away from the computer except for food and sleep. He is comforted by your words and is truly blessed with so many incredible people in his life. Dad received one email that sums up a lot of the messages that he has received and has asked me to read it to you. This was written by Brent Morgan. I'm sure he's watching right now. Hi, Bob. There's no words to describe what you are going through, nor are there any that I can say that will relieve you from the pain and the anguish that you're going through right now. So I'm not going to pretend to offer any words that will suggest I have any idea of what you're enduring right now. But what I can do is offer my thoughts of you and Wendy and what you are to me and what each of you have meant in my life. I am and forever will be grateful for the huge hug she would always had for me whenever I saw her. I'm not sure why, nor will I ever understand truly why she had such a big hug for me, but I am forever grateful that she had that had them for me. There was never a moment that I didn't feel special in her embrace, and I will miss that more than anything. Truly an amazing woman who, no matter what, made everyone around her feel special, and as though they were the only ones who mattered at the time. I have known you for many years, and Wendy as well, and my heart is truly breaking. But I know you are strong and have an entire community around you to support you, Jen and I included. I treasure and value the times that we made sushi together, and the times that Wendy called at 2:20 a.m. on New Year's Eve to let me know you had made it home safely. The cocktails she made us as we made our way down to the river to have fish and chips, and so many more. I treasure and value the times. I started with saying there are no words, and I will end with the same. There are truly no words to describe such a beautiful woman. But never lose sight of the fact that you are a beautiful man as well, Bob, and very well loved. You have an entire network of people who are here for you in whatever capacity that you need. Whatever you need, let us know, Brent. Thank you, Brent. So my brothers and I got together, decided that I had to talk because they weren't brave enough to talk about our memories of Wendy. Some I can share with you today, and others are best spoken about at the tiki bar with a drink in your hand. Wendy was always looking at the positive side of things. She said to Jeff just a couple of weeks ago that a lot of things hurt, but her belly button felt fantastic. And so she was choosing to focus on that. She loved being grandy to all her grandchildren. Every year at Easter, she would have an Easter egg hunt for the grandkids. I know that Hayden, Kate, and Audrey couldn't wait for the day. They would each be given a basket with a color-coded ribbon, and they would run all over the yard looking for treats from the Easter Bunny. Her love and her devotion in caring for Corey and Kyle was truly selfless and amazing. And she was so proud of her grandson, David. Although he lives out west, he was close to her heart, and she truly loved you all so much. We remember her excitement to open her home to a host of our most memorable memories. As Dad had mentioned, so many weddings, both my brothers, her daughter Angela, her sister-in-law Allison, Trish and Rob Carson, and Corey's friends as well, all celebrated weddings in their backyard. All the parties and the barbecues, there's just too many to mention. Wendy was always up for a good time. We remember when Angela and okay, I'm good. We remember when Angela and John bought their house down the street from her. Wendy could not stop talking about it and how excited she was to have them so close by. She always was sending us house listings in the Aurelia area, hoping we would all move closer. Her persistence did eventually wear down Rob and Aaron, and they did buy a place in Severn, as well as I started my real estate career up here with Wendy, and she helped me, and she was so fantastic and patient with me. Ultimately, we remember how she made our dad feel. They enjoyed so many things together, their love of boating, their Friday night tiki bar, and traveling all over the world together. She was always open to a new adventure. As most of you know, my dad invites everyone over to the tiki bar for drinks. From boating, people boating by, to random people in the grocery stores. No matter the situation, Wendy would just say, "Oh, Bob," and then graciously open her heart up to anyone my dad dragged in. They were like yin and yang. Dad would get all worked up over things that needed to be done in the house, and Wendy was always as cool as a cucumber. "Oh, just relax, Bob." The common theme to all the stories and the memories we've shared over the past few days with Wendy. She truly enjoyed being with her family and her friends. It brought her so much joy. We, as a family, are so grateful for the love she had for our dad. They truly were two peas in a pod. To each of you seated here and joining us online today, sit back and remember your time with Wendy. I'm sure it will bring a smile to your face and maybe a laugh or two. Of course, she would not want it any other way.
Good job, Rob.
Good job, all of you. Wonderful. Next up, we have grandchildren Corey and David, who would like to share a few words.
Would you like to go first, or? It's up to you, man. You go ahead. Hello, everyone. My name is Corey Trudeau. I'm Grandy's oldest grandson, and I tried so hard today and the day before, and since I found out, to write something down, but I was unable to write anything down because all I could ever think about was how great all the times were with Grandy. I love her so much, and I appreciate. I love that she was so loving of Papa, and her introducing me to all the Berts and how big my family has gotten. I just appreciate everyone and all you guys' support for being here, and I wish you loved you all so very much. I was one of those grandchildren in the story Papa told earlier that she fought so fiercely for. I couldn't have imagined my life any differently. Everyone that knows Grandy and I, we had a very special relationship. I would always try my best to call her at least once a week. I mean, she made sure I called her at least once a week. But she wasn't my grandmother, and she wasn't my mother. She was my Grandy. And I just miss you so much, Grandy. Hold on.
Hello, everybody. My name is David Sabadash, son of Angela, for those who don't know me. I just wanted to say a few words today about, some of you knew her as Wendy. To some of you, she was Wendy Lady. To me, she was Grandy. Grandy was the person who always loved me, regardless of how weird I was, how strange I was, what I was into. She taught me to be strong in myself, to never apologize for who I was, to unapologetically tell everybody who thought that I was strange or different that it's none of their concern. Everything that I have ever done and will ever do has been with direct thanks to what Grandy has taught me. And I will be sure that my children and my grandchildren will know what an amazing, beautiful, and strong woman she was. I have a little paragraph that I wanted to read. Ideally, I wanted to read a poem by Robert Frost, but due to time constraints, I had to settle on something a little bit shorter. So this is a quote from Peter Pan. You know that place between sleep and awake, the place where you can still remember dreaming? That is where I will always love you. That's where I'll be waiting. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you both. Our final speaker today will be Keith, very dear family friend.
Wow, that's a hard act to follow, guys. This is probably one of the hardest things I've got to do. For those who don't know me, I'm Keith Vanderclay. And I'm going to take my mask off so that you can actually hear what I'm saying. Hi to all the people that are out there and all the people that are out here. So thank you for coming. This is an occasion that I wasn't looking forward to, but I had to be here. I'd like to say some words about Wendy, our friend, as an honorary family member. We all are actually part of that family she created. So none of this that I wrote was in any collaboration with what was being said. But one thing that's going to show through is that we all had the same thoughts and feelings and love for Wendy. That's totally unscripted, I'm sorry. But how can you capture the shining light that is Wendy in a summary of words? I can only talk about Wendy in the present. I can't talk about her in the past because I always will carry her, just like you, forever in my heart. She'll be the rest of my life in that heart. Always inclusive. To Wendy, it mattered not if you were related by blood or by friendship, because once you made it into her heart, you're related. You're part of her family. That's just Wendy. Wendy wouldn't want this to be a sobering gathering or a somber gathering. I already hear her say, "Hey, you, Keith, suck it up, buttercup," making that nice little move into a smile. Her blue eyes sparkling as she looks at me. That smile, that grin, that twinkle, that distinct voice, each word pronounced. Her infectious laugh and her blue eyes with a look that can love you or pierce you, depending on what you were doing or saying. You always knew where you stood with Wendy. That's one thing I got to say. I first met Wendy when Bob introduced me to her a long time ago. Yeah, now in my mind's here, I can already hear her saying, hey, wait, not a long time ago, because I wasn't really that old, you know. Bob and I had been colleagues and friends at the CBC where we both worked, stretching back for over 45 years now. Wendy, and then a feisty 30-something, I could never really tell her age. I couldn't really even guess her age because if I did, she tried to kill me. So in order for me to survive, she always has remained that 30-something-year-old feisty, and get that word again, feisty girl that I knew, spirited. Wendy didn't age. She maybe added a few years, maybe just enough so she could get a 55 plus card and get some discounts, but she had always remained that 30-something. These are a lot of pages, but there's a lot of like big letters in here. Double space too. When Wendy and Bob moved to Aurelia, Wendy's astute real estate sense landed Bob and Wendy a magnificent diamond in the rough, a paradise on the water. That was the place where we all seem to be drawn to, where we gather for good times and happy occasions, the numerous weddings, including daughters and sons. It holds memories for all of us, special memories that have special meaning to all of us. For us, as the adopted family of Bob and Wendy, like they didn't already have enough people to look after, this place became a very special place that we kept coming back to as it grew from a diamond in the rough into an incredible family home that they created for all of you. Through Bob and Wendy, we got to know some amazing people. Their direct family, Angela, John, Karen, Chad, Rob, Aaron, Jeff, Lisa. People like Ed and Peppy, Barb and John, Judy and Rick, and all their neighbors and friends from town. Amazing gathering of good people and friends, and many of them are friends as well now. We've got great memories of our sons, Evan and Christian, who literally grew up with Uncle Bob and Aunt Wendy and their close family, spending much of their youth summers at Kuchiching, together with Wendy's grandson, Corey, Kyle, David, and Gracie and Mark, the kids of our dear friends Mona and Claude, who Wendy befriended, of course, when they were doing the Ajax Power Squadron many, many years ago. The six of us actually became best of friends, as did all the kids, for whom sleepovers were piles of blankets and pillows on the basement floor. Couches were coveted spaces, claimed by Corey, by the way. And many a movie and games were played on the big screen TV in Bob's home theater. With Wendy as the matriarch and ruler of the kids' clan, a role she fulfilled very well, Grandy's rules were fair. See, everybody knew her as Grandy. For the kids, it was no arguments. Play fair. When the lights go out, you go to sleep. It was merriment and laughter. Things got out of hand. All that was needed was the right index finger that would point, blue staring eyes like a death ray. And what would follow would be the kids would fall in line. She never needed to say another word. Don't dare go down the docks without a life vest. No running down the stairs. And if you got hurt, a quick check, a Band-Aid, a hug, and if you pouted, some really true Grandy advice. No self-pity. You did this yourself. Suck it up, Buttercup. That stunning, iconic smile again. Even to this day, now the 30-year-old kids, or something like that, talk about their youth and mention Aunt Wendy and Uncle Bob and are often part of the conversations and recollections. They still love to visit their second home. And some of them are watching right now, as they're unable to be here due to COVID. They all wish they could have been here, Bob. They all wish they would have been here. The combination of Mona, Wendy, and my wife, Joan's cooking, was to say the least amazing. A number of you have had the pleasure to experience the Three Amigos creations, and the guys, of course, doing the barbecue skills. And we could create feasts, big feasts. Now, Wendy's favorite was Mona's creme caramel. If only she could skip the main course and just get directly to that whole bowl of caramel herself, she could eat the whole thing. Now, aside from creating way too many lunches and dinners, Wendy and Joan loved finding bargains. And before you knew it, Joan and Wendy would whisk off in mad shopping sprees to wholesalers. Yeah, leaving Bob and me to wonder what treasures we would see next. Well, those decorations in our home amounted into massive amounts of Christmas paraphernalia. And let's see, what else was there? There was a rabbit butler serving candies, metal flowers and cat's tails, and hanging and standing frogs, lots of them, scented candles, and a toilet roll holder that always seemed to make a loud clanging noise when you pulled the paper. If anybody was ever in that washroom, you know what I'm talking about. But the decorations is what made the Burt Elliot home a special place to be, a special place to visit, especially during Christmas. Who didn't love going over there during Christmas with that big Christmas tree full of decorations and, of course, a Santa that would dance? Who else would have a Santa that would dance? It's the Wendy touch, as she called it, and we all loved it. Wendy loved being on the lake. There were boat trips, sea-doo trips, races, tubing, water skiing. Now, Wendy wasn't one that go water skiing or tubing. No, she made that actually a watch sport, probably from the back of the boat or maybe sitting on the deck with a nice glass of Chardonnay and a big tray of cheese. I don't think that Joan or I could have created, nor would have been able to provide such wonderful memories between all of us had we not had Bob and Wendy in our lives. We often remind both of them how much we love them, how much we appreciate what they've done, and still do, for not themselves, but for others, even strangers. And this is one of the things that is Wendy, like Bob. She's the most incredible gift of making everyone she meets feel like they've been friends for ages. Be it someone that happened to pop in for a moment, a friend of a friend maybe, or perhaps somebody passing by on a boat. The door's always wide open and everyone's always welcome at the Bird Elliot home. And that's how they have friends from all around the world, like Bob said, Cheryl, Phil, Katinka, Michael. They're everywhere. It's like Hotel California. You can check out anytime you like, except you never want to leave. If dinner was about to be served and guests showed up unexpected, Wendy would work her magic. Something like that. And voila, dinner for 2 would become dinner for 4, 8, 16, or exponentially would just grow to 32, whatever. To everyone here, Wendy and Bob are a significant part of our lives. They are the epitome of hospitality. Open up the dictionary on that word, and you'll probably see a picture of them behind the tiki bar, which I've seen several times over there. And I remember Wendy saying, well, I guess I can no longer walk around in my skivvies because every time I look around, there's somebody else at the door. Well, talking about the tiki bar, I've always envisioned Bob and Wendy would make great TV hosts. Just, that picture of them sitting behind the bar. The Adventures of Bob and Wendy, an ACTRA award-winning act, of course. They would sit behind the counter inside the tiki bar, tell stories about their boat trips, their adventures down south, the people that they met along the way, trips to the Wabik restaurant or riverfront in Severn River. Bob would tell the story. Props would fly across the bar. I mean, stage props and real props too, of course, because many a propeller hit the big one on the epic boat adventures with Bob and Wendy, which they made, of course, with their friends Bob and Pam, who always had to save the boat and tow it back. Yeah. Bob, aye, that's right, Bob too. And Wendy would be the one keeping Bob on track, correcting Bob's side stories, sort of like keeping him straight, like what she normally does on the boat, like Bob, Bob, Bob. Keep you on track. Both Bob and Wendy are the kind of people, one kind of people, a special kind of people. Together, they were super special. People you don't often meet, but when you do, you immediately know that you have friends for life. They will come to your aid when you need help, cheer you up when you're down, and celebrate your victories as if that was their own. I bet there are many among us who wonder how they did all that. Well, this is how it works. Bob loves people. Bob invites people. Bob tells Wendy, or sometimes not. Nothing ever fazed Wendy. She just goes with the flow. Family weddings, big parties, annual picnics. Oh, here they come. The barbecue complete with fire truck for the CBC, power squadron, real estate gatherings, Rotary Club, lunches. Bob loved organizing events. Wendy, always the perfect hostess, a big smile on her face, that smile that would always welcome everyone. And if she didn't know you yet, she soon would, and you would never forget that. I'll never forget that. Wendy knew her routine by heart. And I mean, she has a very big heart. She's done this all of her life. It comes natural to her. She picked up people that were down and out and helped them back on their feet. She ran a bar, a restaurant. She fed the homeless. That's just the way she is. And it seems that she's so endeared in people's hearts that they even would marry her daughter to get back in her life. Isn't that right, John? Well, I can't blame you. I mean, who else could resist Angela? It's that spirit, that wonderful spirit that lives on. And it's that spirit that we'll remember and hold dear and close to our hearts. And this is for Wendy. You've worked hard, our precious Wendy, and lived life to the fullest without complaining or self-pity. Even when you lost loved ones, not once, but several times. You cared for us as friends. You loved us as your kin. You made us smile, and we loved having been part of your life and having you been a major part of ours. We thank you for that. You carried yourself with a smile through good times and bad, that infectious, sparkling smile, always there. A smile for everyone that you see throughout the years. You deserve the rest. Sleep tight.
Thank you, Keith, and thank you, everyone who prepared such special words to share with us today. It's not an easy feat to accomplish, but you all did very well. Today, we've come together to celebrate Wendy's life, and as we do so, we need to keep in mind that in this life, we are always going to be faced with change. Some changes will be good. They'll be easy to endure. However, there will also be times like this when the change is very difficult, when we're brought together under unfortunate circumstances and where we really need to rely on the love and support of our family and friends around us. As we continue to talk about change, we must keep in mind that change is around us literally at every single moment, though most often we are completely unaware of its presence. Just like the season and the nature for example, that surrounds us, each year we see the leaves change color, and eventually they fall to rest after a season full of bountiful life. And eventually the earth is covered with a blanket of solemnity, of peace, just like we see now with the last of the snow of the wintertime. But just when we begin to think that all is dormant, that all has fallen asleep, we see the world as it is with each new spring, a complete rejuvenation of life, if you will. This change will be very visible and prevalent very soon. The grass will once again be vibrant and green. The trees will boast their life and their unwavering strength. The plants and the flowers will continue to grace us with their beauty and with their liveliness time and time again. If we can begin to observe our own lives in the same manner, perhaps we can view Wendy's passing as her life having changed, not ended. A hope for all of us that one day we will see our departed loved ones again. We turn now to the poetry of Scripture, to the familiar and the very comforting words of the 23rd Psalm, which is a psalm that uses images of nature as well to describe how we are lovingly cared for in both this life as well as in life beyond, through both the difficult times but also in times of joy. And these are words that generations upon generations have turned to for comfort. So if you know the words by heart, even if you know just some of it, I invite you to join with me in saying them, or simply let them bring you comfort now. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Amen. So as you, the family and friends of Wendy, reflect on her passing, please promise me that you will reflect so much more on her wonderfully full life. Focus your thoughts and your energies on only the positive times. Today and throughout your lives, understandably, you will grieve for Wendy, but you must celebrate the gift of her so much more, with all of the memories and the lessons that she unknowingly gifted to all of you in the treasured times you spent together. As we journey on, may we all do so with a commitment to live our lives as fully as we possibly can, and may we journey with the awareness that in all of life, that we are not alone, that there is a loving power and a very loving spirit that is at our side. We include all those who need our prayers at this time, including Wendy, that she has indeed been gifted the peace that she is so deserving of. We also take this opportunity to remember those that she has now been reunited with. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, on this day, we lift up our hearts to you in gratitude for the life of Wendy Elliot. We thank you that her life made so many other lives richer with her presence. We thank you for the love given and love received, for defeats mastered and tasks well done, for faithful friendships and for everything in Wendy's life that radiated goodness and love. Grateful for this life that you have given us, help us now to place it back carefully into your hands, knowing that Wendy is now in your care and keeping. Grant us the help of your Spirit in the days to come, and make us deeply sensitive in the shortness and uncertainty of this life. And let your Spirit lead us through this beautiful world in both truthfulness and in love. Amen. We turn now to the prayer that Jesus taught us. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. The interment and committal service will be held at St. Andrew St. James Cemetery immediately following our service. As Dave mentioned prior, those who wish to attend are welcome to do so. Angela did just ask me to pass on. You are welcome, but please do not feel obligated. Just please keep in mind, those of you that do plan to attend, the protocols that Dave mentioned at the commencement of the service. In a few moments, the casket will be taken to the funeral coach as we prepare to make our way to the cemetery. I would ask that you remain in your seats, please, until we receive further direction from funeral home staff. Thank you very much.
This concludes the formal service in our chapel today. Again, on behalf of the family, thank you so much for coming and sharing this incredibly important and special time with them. I know how much your presence here means to them today. As was mentioned, we are going to make our way to the cemetery. At this point, I would invite the pallbearers to follow Stephanie to the rear doors. I would invite you all to stay in your seats until the casket and family have passed by, and you're welcome to follow out. Once you've followed out, those who are coming to the cemetery can bring their vehicles down the exit drive. Once everyone has received their vehicles, we'll slowly make our way to the cemetery. Again, thank you so much for coming today. If you're able, please stand.
More than a ripple, less than a splash, the heir to a long line of glory. Give me the morning and I'll give you a song. It's so good being part of the story. This moment in time, this right time of day. Oh, I love being with you and watching my life at play. My love in your eyes is light in my dreams, and the feelings you choose have touches of blues and greens. This trip into time, this timeless embrace, and like a kid in a storm, I'll always want more